American Graduate, Let's Make It Happen, a public media initiative funded by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to help local communities address the dropout crisis. You're going to hear a lot about this initiative in the coming months. WHRO is one of 20 public media hubs selected to bring the community together around ways to help our kids stay in school and graduate. Today on Another View, we'll talk with one school that is truly making a difference by being the safety net for elementary school-age children who have already fallen behind. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee, and we're talking about Park Place School right after the news from NPR.
Discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
I just love that applause because it just makes my guests just smile. You guys, it sets the tone. Hi, everybody. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Welcome to Another View. What happens when a child who goes to school every day does not learn? Could be that he or she quickly falls behind and the cycle towards possibly never finishing high school starts churning. Well, my guests today are determined to stop the cycle from ever beginning. As they say, making a difference one child at a time. Please welcome Michelle Schultz, Director of the Park Place School. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Welcome to the program. Dr. Althea Woodson-Robinson, Park Place School Board member.
Hello.
And a former educator. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Jeananne Kodya. Kodya. I got it right. Jeananne Kodya, a teacher at the school. How are you, Jeananne?
I'm doing well.
Good. And Cleo Simms, a former student who is now attending Tidewater Community College. Welcome, Cleo.
Hi.
Glad to have you. I know you're the shyest one out of the group.
Yes.
Now, I want to start with you, Michelle, though, and tell us, what is Park Place School? What are you about?
Okay. Park Place School is an intervention program. We're a 3-year program where we take children that are at least 1 to 2 grade levels behind where they should be. In 3rd grade, we bring them in and we keep them for 3 years. We have a really intense, specialized curriculum that we use, and we basically take the children back to the basics to get what they missed and then work from there and build them up to their grade level. And our whole goal is to get them back on grade level, and then they return back to public school, and they're working at grade level, and they can pass their SOLs, and they end up graduating high school and going to college like Cleo.
I was going to say, because Cleo is a success story. Cleo, when you were in the what grade? You were in the 3rd grade or 4th grade?
Fourth grade.
4th grade when you went to the school. What was going on in your elementary school before you found Park Place School?
Well, I couldn't write in cursive, and I struggled with math and reading out loud.
Okay. And how did that make you feel? What was a school day like for you when you went?
It was hard. Like, seeing my friends passing all their classes, and I was sitting there just like, oh, snap, I don't know what's happening right now.
And so you weren't quite sure how come you weren't able to keep up. Do you remember the day that your mom took you to Park Place School?
Not really.
Not really?
No, it was kind of a long time ago, but I remember talking to the principal, and she was telling me that I was going to attend Park Place, and the reason why is because everybody has 2 sides of their brain, but my brain works a little different because one side works extremely fast, the other works slow. So going to Park Place was going to help train my slow brain to go fast like my other, so I could work extremely well in school.
Mm-hmm. Now, Michelle, these students are not special ed students.
No, they're not. They're the children that are falling like Cleo behind just because they're not keeping up with their peers, but they don't qualify for special education services. So that's really why we're unique. We really want the kids that aren't being serviced or don't qualify for the services. And what we found is with children, one set of tools doesn't work for every carpenter. And it's the same with these kids. One way to teach is different. We have other ways we can teach them how to learn and not what to learn.
So describe your typical student. for
Our
us?
typical student, most of them live in the Park Place community here in Norfolk. They're from low-income families. A lot of our children are being raised by their grandparents or single parents. These parents are struggling to keep food on the table, so the academics is kind of put to the side, but they know their child needs help. So they come to us, and a lot of times when they get to us, they're just so beaten down because they've just had this failure over and over and over again. So you have to work on them and build them up and show them that they are smart, they just learn differently, and that they will be wonderful in school.
Jeananne, you're a teacher.
Yes.
You're in the classroom every day. Describe how your students start with you, and then what do you see as their progress?
It's amazing to watch the change in the students. When they come in, a lot of times they're embarrassed. They have been beaten down because they're not doing well in school. And by the time that the 3 years go by and they're ready to graduate and move back into the public school system, they're confident. That's usually the first thing that we see go up is the confidence. And they're ready to go. We give them tools to be able to go back into the school system. We teach them how to learn.
So what's different about the way you teach versus what they were learning in public school?
All of the teachers that are at Park Place School are NILD trained educational therapists.
Can you explain what that means?
It's National Institute for Learning Development. And so all of us, we incorporate techniques used by National Institute for Learning Development into the classroom. And so we work on a phonics-based approach. And like I said, we give them tools to teach them how to learn, different way of thinking.
Dr. Althea, because I keep forgetting the Woodson-Robinson. But Althea, this is a private school.
Correct.
How many students are we talking about? And roughly, what's the budget?
We had a minimum of maybe 20 and as high as 60 at some times.
So it depends on the year?
It depends on the year. And sometimes because we have graduates, it's not as many. And our budget runs, would you say?
Now it's running about $300,000.
Okay. That you actually go out and raise people like you, who are our dear board member here, who is responsible for raising those funds every year.
We have a development committee that really helps us a great deal with that. We come up with the ideas and maybe contact people, but they do the legwork.
Michelle, do you have to live in Park Place in order for your child to attend?
No, you don't. We actually have 2 students right now that live in Compostela. Mom doesn't have a car, and they ride the HRT bus to and from school, and they transfer. And they actually leave for school at 6:30 a.m. every morning, and they don't get to school until 8:30. And then if they stay for after school, they're there till 6, and then riding the bus back.
So they're determined.
They are
going to succeed.
They are.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Give us a call if you have any questions about the way that the Park Place School is approaching education for our young people who may find themselves falling behind in traditional public schools. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Cleo, what do you think made the difference? You said they told you it was going to help the slower side of your brain catch up with the faster side. But as you were learning, what made it easier for you?
The teachers. They were very encouraging, and they were just next to me the whole time, like saying, you could do this, you're going to get through this, and everything.
And now you actually finished the 3 years. Because it's only a 3-year program, correct? So it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade.
When Cleo was there, it was 4th, 5th, and 6th, but we've gotten younger since then.
And Cleo, when you left there, what happened to you? Where'd you go?
I went to Norfolk Christian. Miss Michelle actually got all the paperwork and sent me to Norfolk Christian. I did 6th through 12th, and then I decided to go to TCC. I got accepted to Virginia Wesleyan, but price-wise, TCC is the best choice. And after TCC, I'm planning on going to Hampton University.
Okay. Good. And you also are actually working at the school, are you not?
Yes, ma'am.
So, but you also did some mentoring, didn't you?
Yes. At Norfolk Christian, our senior project, you have to go and do volunteer pretty much. And I chose Park Place School because I was close to the people there. And I had an opportunity to work with the kids, and I had like behind the scene work also with, paperwork and stuff like that.
So when you see a little child now who's attending now,
yes,
what do you tell them? How do you encourage them?
I just say it's hard now, but just think about your future. I know you don't want to do the work, but it's going to get brighter, your day, your life. Just stay, because they're always saying, oh, public school is so mean, I want to go back to public school with my friends, but God has something different for them.
Okay. All right. Off of your website, it says that your 2004 to 2007 student body began the third grade performing at just about first grade level.
Yes.
Okay. And then at the completion of the program, the students had an average gain of 31 percentage points in math, 13 points in reading, and 21 points in spelling.
Yes.
Those are some incredible numbers.
They
Michelle.
are incredible. They are. And what's great about our program is we test the children every year. So there's a lot of assessments that go on throughout the year. And when they first start, they're given an IQ test because we really want to see, does this program affect their IQ? So as they go through the 3 years, they have the Kaufman Test of Educational Achievement, and they take other tests at the end of each year. And then we have them retested have their IQ given again at the end of 5th grade, and their IQs go up between 6 and 23 points. In the 9 years I've been at the school, we've never had an IQ stay the same, and we've never had one go down.
And every child has actually been able to go back to elementary school or back into the public school system at grade level.
Right, and they go back in middle school. And we found when Cleo was there, it was 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And the kids were going back into middle school at 7th grade. And it was a very hard transition because the 6th graders had their transition the year before. Mm-hmm. So we felt, okay, statistics are saying we need to get them earlier. Plus, we need to make sure that this transition is very smooth for them when they go back to middle school. And we do a lot with the kids when they're going back to middle school, meeting with their counselors, telling them where they are, telling them, if there is a weak area, how the teachers can help them with that. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting. But yes, the kids do fantastic.
A lot of Jeananne teachers who work in particularly schools that are in lower impoverished areas and so forth also have a lot of disciplinary issues they have to deal with, their family issues that have to be dealt with, and so forth. For your students, when you're in class, is that an issue also? In other words, you treat the child holistically?
Absolutely. I mean, any child, any school that you're in, there are going to be some points of difficulty with discipline. We have a good program in place, and they know what's expected of them. And we discipline them with love, and they know what they've done and what the consequences will be. Mm-hmm. But we also have some positive incentives that are in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Althea, you are a former educator yourself. When you look at the program, kind of from the outside a little bit because you're not actually in the classroom, but what do you see as the major difference between what these kids are able to get? First of all, why they're falling behind in the first place, and then this opportunity to help them to grow.
There's several things. One is the positive reinforcement. They're not judged by where they are. They're judged by where they're going. And that makes such a difference to a child to know that it may be hard now, but if I continue to work at this, I will get better. And after being downtrodden so long, I can't read. And just the idea of reading is such a positive incentive for that child. Mm-hmm. Also, the teachers and everyone there, even their fellow students, are supportive of them. There's not that jeering of, oh, you can't do it. Or they help each other. If one doesn't know, the other helps them. Mm-hmm. So that they have a great support group. So I think being able to have a re-evaluation of their self-image and the positive support really contribute to their success at Park Place School.
I want to bring into the conversation Bill Thomas. Bill is well known to the Another View audience as part of our roundtable. Hi, Bill.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, now, Bill, you and I, when we were on the roundtable back in September, we started talking about positive things that were happening within communities, particularly African-American communities, to help our kids get back on track. And you brought up the Park Place School.
Yes.
And so now you've become pretty involved, I understand.
Oh, no, absolutely. Actually, I was a resident of Park Place, and all of these great positive things that these young ladies and the students are saying, that you see that bright, eager folks there wanting to do well, especially the kids. And we talk a lot about the problems, and I got to give you, I guess, kudos for saying, why don't we try to figure out what we can do? So I did. I went back and I looked at some statistics when I was there and when my children went to school at the schools in Norfolk, public schools. And I wanted to see what we could do to make a difference, because the thing that I saw there that was quite disappointing to me was the fact that the kids could not read, and they just didn't have the opportunity because they weren't being taught correctly. And if you can't read, you can't do anything. Just real quickly, when my daughter said she wanted to go to med school in the third grade, we took her down to UVA. We talked to the Dean of School of Medicine, and he said, teach your child how to read and to be disciplined, and the rest to come. So I thought that was so important. Mm-hmm. And then I knew of these folks were trying to do a good job there. So I inserted and got busy, as you indicated.
And so now you're trying to help them raise some money, is that right?
There's a couple of things that need to be done. Number one, they need to have their own charter. They need to be funded with educational funds to expand their program and to fully support this initiative. And we need to break down the doors that are keeping them out of providing this opportunity into a larger scale. And to that, I am sponsoring legislation with Senator Mamie Locke and Matthew James on a lab schools in the Commonwealth. And what lab schools are is something that will fund these programs so that the money will follow the children to this particular program in Park Place. And Hampton University want to be a lead in that effort. We want to work with ODU and Norfolk State more in particular, to try to engage our community. The one statistics that I found just frightening was the fact that you can predict when kids are going to go to jail in the third grade, but you could also understand that the illiteracy rate among those folks here in Hampton Roads, and especially in Norfolk and Portsmouth, were just outrageous. So I am engaged in that. I'm working with legislation with the governor's office, with Senator Locke and Matthew James, as delegate, to get these lab schools going so these folks can be fully funded.
Fantastic. Bill, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next Friday.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And thanks so much for that young lady who expressed how well she's doing. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. And for all the good people there. Okay?
All right, Bill. Thanks so much. I appreciate
Bye.
that. Michelle, we've gotten a couple questions from our listeners, and everybody wants to know if this program is going to extend across the water, first of all, to the peninsula, but in terms of growing, what are your expansion plans?
We're unfortunately right now, because we're a community-based school, we're based on the funding that we get in, because 100% of our funding comes from the community. So that's kind of been the guiding way for us, because we have so many classes and we can't have more than 12 students in a class.
So it's a 12-to-1 ratio.
Yes. And then when they have educational therapy, it can go down to a 1-to-1 ratio. So we are looking to expand. We would like to expand because there are more children out there that could benefit from this program. And yes, we would love to come across the water if they would have us. One of our big I guess, walls that we have is transportation. We don't have the funding to get the children to and from the school. So it is the parent's responsibility or the child's responsibility to get to school and to get home in the afternoon. And that's really, we would have so many children, if we just had transportation.
That would be a key. So you hear that out there, listening audience. Jeananne, caller wanted to know, or have you to repeat how you teach a child to learn based on using the left and right side of the brain.
We use a technique called rhythmic writing. And rhythmic writing is saying out loud the action that you're doing with your hand. You use a chalkboard, and we trace 8s, and we also use different counts to teach cursive writing within the rhythmic writing. And we extend, if you're right-handed, over to the left side of the body. The left side of your brain controls the right side of your body and vice versa. And so as you stretch across and go past your midline, it is connecting both of the sides of the brain as you work through that. And every single child gets rhythmic writing every day.
So that's one of the techniques that you use.
It is.
In order. And then, Cleo, you talked about mental math.
Yes.
And how did they help you to learn to do that?
Well, when we did rhythmic writing, they were not shout, but they would call, just start giving us math problems, and you had to do it mentally, and you had to think while you're moving your hands, and it's just move. I don't know. Sorry.
You can do it now.
Yes, I can do
that's
it.
the bottom line. Okay, Michelle, and I'm going to ask this of you and Althea, but in doing the research for this show, you know, we have this wonderful thing called the World Wide Web. And outside of your website and a couple of YouTube videos of promotional things that you guys have done, there is nothing about Park Place School.
Everybody.
How is what? You've been around for how long?
Kept secret in Norfolk.
And you've been around for how long?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. In Park Place on 35th Street.
Mm-hmm. So how come there hasn't been, you know, article when you opened, and you know what I'm saying? I mean,
well, you know, we've had support from the mayor and city council and government officials, and a lot of corporations and businesses have been very supportive of us. The thing with Park Place is we needed to have a proven track record. And by hitting this 10-year mark, we have that. So now it is time for us to kind of change from being the best kept secret in Norfolk to the most known secret in Norfolk. But, yeah, we've spent during this 10 years, there have been some modifications to the program, and we have changed things and tweaked things as we've gone along. Plus, we've been fundraising. And with the select, we haven't really been out there really pushing the fundraising. It's been more of people who knew us and knew of what we were doing. Because the kids come to Park Place at no charge. Their parents pay nothing for them to be there. It is provided 100% by the community.
So how do you get the community to give, Althea?
Well, you know, they see the worth of Park Place, and they want to help. If we just help one child, not to be that statistical child that ends up in prison or ends up leaving school early. So we've, as Michelle said, we get personal donors, but I think the community sees a need for this, and whether or not they can economically support us is something else. But they do see the need, and they do want to help. It's just a matter of how they choose to help.
Jeananne, when the student goes to school, people say all the time, you know, you need the parent to reinforce the homework, and you need the parent to be reading to the child and so forth. And some of these kids don't have that opportunity. So how do you keep them focused and still learning despite what may be going on at home?
Well, we try to understand what's going on at home. We still do assign homework. And if it doesn't get done at home, we allow them some time to be able to do it in school. There are some great programs. Michelle, maybe you want to field the programs that are after. We have some after-school programs that actually help with the homework that maybe would be difficult to do at home.
Yeah, we have found just that they need help with their homework. So we've partnered with the YMCA in Park Place, the community services portion of the YMCA there, and they come in and they provide before and after care for our kids and the kids at James Monroe Elementary School behind us. So they come over also. So they're there every afternoon. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Park Place Child Life Center, who's also located in our building, they have volunteers that come in and work with the children to get their homework done. And then their treat is at 5 o'clock, they take a class. And we've got African drumming and ukulele class, theater. So there's a lot for them to do, but it's just that time to sit down one-on-one with that volunteer and to have that time to get their homework done or to pick up on a piece that they might have not gotten in the classroom. So, yeah, we have found it's really really important, and we keep a lot of them from 7:30 in the morning until 6 at night.
Until 6 at night. That's a full day. If you're just joining us, we are talking about Park Place School, which is located in Norfolk, and it is a school that is kind of a safety net for elementary school ed children who may be falling behind or who have fallen behind in their public school, and it's an opportunity for them to learn to come back up to grade level and then go back into the schools. What is your relationship with Norfolk Public Schools?
Really, we have not. In the beginning, there was a pilot project in the late 90s, and the superintendent then was Frank Salou. And for the pilot project, he handpicked students that by looking at their data, that they were not going to graduate. They were going to be dropouts. And they went through the program, and all of them graduated from high school.
Wow.
But since then, we really haven't had a real strong relationship with the public schools. We really want to, and to work with them.
So the schools don't refer these students. So how do they find you?
It's really word of mouth in the neighborhood and parents of children that are there or children that have been there. We also have a lot of siblings. If you have learning difficulties, it does run in families. So we'll have siblings that come through, which is really great because then you have that child that you had 4 years ago also coming up with their brother or sister and re-engaging. And another point, too, is a lot of the kids that come to us, they seem like they're children that have behavior problems. But in all actuality, they might have a small behavior problem, but they're so frustrated that they have to have an outlet. They have to be able to, get attention. So if you don't get good attention, let's get some bad attention. So it's really neat to watch them come in. And I've always had the mindset, and it's worked every year, that in April, a light bulb goes off in these children, and our non-readers that came in the fall are standing up reading us paragraphs. And it's just the most amazing thing just to see the smiles on their faces and see them working.
And we only have a few minutes left, but do most of the students go back into public school when they leave?
They do. We have Norfolk Christian. We have a great partnership with them, and they'll give us 2 scholarships every year for our graduating class. And that's how Cleo was able to go to Norfolk Christian and graduate.
Okay.
But the majority, yes, they are. A lot of them are at Blair. We've got some at, they go to Granby, Maury. And I know Cleo, she comes into work and she says, "Oh, I saw such and such from school." And so she's seeing kids that went through the program at TCC. So that's a great thing to.
That's great. And how do you recruit your teachers?
We actually go through the National Institute for Learning Development because they have the expertise and they have the training. Because our teachers, yes, they're certified, but then it goes beyond that. They have to have level 3 training at NILD, which takes years. I mean, it's not a short process. So, and they are committed to helping these kids.
All right, Cleo, we've got about 2 minutes left. So if you were to say something to a child who is frustrated now and is having trouble learning, what would you encourage them to do?
To seek help. Normally when kids are struggling, they want to keep it to themselves. So seek help from teachers, from classmates, from anybody who's, could help you out.
Okay. Jeananne, what would you tell people about your students?
My students are awesome. They are ones that can achieve whatever they want if they just put in the effort and relax and allow the learning to be able to happen.
Okay. Althea, if people want to give, what do they do?
Just look at Park Place and get in contact with Michelle, and we welcome you.
And Michelle, a final word that you'd like to say for Park Place School.
I thank you for allowing us to be on and share what Park Place is with the community. And hopefully that'll start the raising awareness of Park Place.
That's fantastic. Thank you all so much for joining me today. We were talking about Park Place School with Michelle Schultz, director of the school, Dr. Althea Woodson-Robinson, who is a school board member and former educator, Jeananne Kodya, a teacher at the school, and Cleo Simms, a former student who we are so proud is now at Tidewater Community College. Congratulations
Thank
again.
you.
And when we come back, more ways to help our young people stay focused and stay in school, this time with help from the arts. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A Portsmouth-based program is reaching out and transforming the lives of hundreds of teenagers each and every week. Whether their desire is to act, sing, dance, or rap, the Renaissance Performing Arts and Drama Center, or RPAD, gives them a place to show off their skills in a positive environment. Our Lisa Godley takes us inside this popular program where skills are developed and lives are changed.
I used to get mad quick, over reasons that I should have never got mad over.
14-year-old DeAndre Bird says in the past, his hot temper cost him numerous opportunities. Now the Waters Middle School student flashes an infectious smile, so pleased that he's gotten his anger under control. Trey attributes his transformation to the wisdom and guidance he's received from mentors and friends at the Renaissance Performing Arts and Drama Center, or RPAD.
I just calmed down and they just told me, just don't worry about it and just do what I do best, play football and smile.
Trey is one of hundreds of teens who visit the RPAD on Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth each and every week. Ashaley Vass is another.
Coming from in a family where the rules were don't get pregnant, graduate high school. If you go to college, graduate. When you get out, get a job. That was the end of that. Just don't get pregnant. But 9 out of 10, it happened in my family. So I didn't have any, all right, so come on, y'all, let's go to church. I didn't have none of that. I didn't have a background. So I had Coach Ratliff on my side. And he was telling me, yo, Missy, come out to the RPAD. Come out to the RPAD. And I was like, yo, what the heck is the RPAD?
If you pop in on any given Thursday, Ashaley, or Missy as her friends call her, can be found on stage either dancing or hosting open mic night.
I'm about to graduate high school, so it basically brings me a place to come to and basically do what I want to do and know that I'm safe. And it's an all around good experience. And it's teaching me to be a leader. It's teaching me to know when I get out of high school it's gonna be on my back. That's gonna say that I did that. And I can actually say that I'm leaving my footsteps for the next person or the next female that say that you don't say can't, you can, because I did it.
When Missy dances, she performs something she calls crump dancing.
Kingdom, radical, uplifting, mighty praise. It's a praise of worship for my Lord and Savior. It's good. It has a blessed background. Basically, it's showing your feeling. I like to call myself a warrior of God because every movement I do is it's fighting off the demons and the disgust and just all that stuff that I have on my mind or all the things that I know that shouldn't be there.
All I wish from you is to over the sea.
Right now, she's choreographing moves to this song, titled Two of the Same, by the artist Sincere, who often performs at the RPAD.
I'm about to help him. I'm about to choreograph a piece for him for a couple of his performances. Yeah, cool. I'm excited about that project.
Earl Benson is one of the mentors at the RPAD. The recent Virginia State University graduate says his goal is to let the kids know that they don't have to make the same mistakes he did growing up.
We all go down certain ways to actually get where you're going, but you have a choice. And right now, by the decisions that you make, you can either live or die. And I feel like the RPAD and HRCO gives you a choice. You don't have to fall into the same crowd in order to be cool. So in this generation, everybody's trying to fit in and trying to be cool.
The man in charge of community outreach for the RPAD is Ronnie Ratliff, or as the kids call him, Coach.
And a lot of these kids are making decisions and, doing things that are putting them in harm's way. And if we don't have enough mentors, if we don't have places where they can come that's positive, then they're going to end up faltering. A lot of times, people in the community don't think about it because they don't think it affects them. But it does affect them. If our young people fail, if our young people die, it affects all of us. That's what I'm hoping, that we can just continue through the tutoring, through the mentoring, through the performing arts aspect, that we can just kind of unify those who can really make a difference and make a stronger impact.
Please make a choice. And sometimes I'm feeling bad, and sometimes I'm feeling fine.
A lot of the kids that we have that come to the RPAD because, like I say, it's a Christian facility. But like she does the crump dancing, and they do various different dancing, but some of it is in the same style as the music that the kids listen to. So they come and initially they feel comfortable, and then when they get there, they realize, man, they're talking about like positive stuff, and it's almost like shock factor, because they're like, wow, you mean to tell me I can come somewhere it's not necessarily church, but it's positive, that type of thing, really get something from it. It's really an eye opener.
Ratliff says his dream is to have the RPAD in every city in the 757. And if the hundreds of Treys and Missies whose lives have been changed by the program have their way, well, look out Hampton Roads.
And just use demonstration.
I just want other people to go to the iPad like me and just have fun and just learn more about God, because he's good. It just helps you think. iPad is just something just to have fun.
For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
Just another example of the great things happening in the Hampton Roads community. The Renaissance Performing Arts and Drama Center, or RPAD, is located on Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth, and they're there every Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. In a moment, some movement in the fight against prostate cancer. And the news is not necessarily good. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Here are the facts. African American men are diagnosed with prostate cancer at a 60% higher rate than white men, and are 140% more likely to die from the disease. Intensive efforts have been made to encourage men to get tested. It's called the PSA test. Now the medical world has been rocked by the suggestion of the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force against PSA testing. Here to clear things up for us is Charlie Hill, president and founder of the Hampton Roads Prostate Health Forum. Hi, Charlie.
Barbara, how are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, this is a little confusing. It kind of reminded me of recently when the breast cancer, when to have a mammogram and when not to, that controversy came up. Now we're talking about prostate cancer.
Absolutely. And it's the same organization, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, is an independent panel of non-federal experts in prevention and evidence-based medicine, and they make recommendations. And yes, this is the same group that made recommendations in 2009 about breast cancer and mammography exams, etc. So that's the same kind of issue. The difference is there was a firestorm when that recommendation came forward in 2009, and it was reversed. So far, we have not created a firestorm, and that's what we need to do regarding prostate cancer.
Okay, so let's let our audience understand exactly what they're saying. They are saying that it is not necessary to do the PSA test. Is that right?
Essentially, they've downgraded the use of the PSA or the prostate-specific antigen test. They're saying it applies to men in the U.S. population who do not have symptoms that are highly suspicious for prostate cancer, regardless of age, race, and family history. And frankly, that's barbaric. It's likened to the Tuskegee experiment. We already know that since the mid-'90s, when the PSA was introduced, there's been an overall 40% drop in the mortality of all men in the U.S., a 40% drop. Now, if you take that test away, a reasonable person can conclude that 10, 15 years from now, we're going to look back and say, there's been a substantial increase in the deaths of men because the data already sets it up. So that's why it's barbaric. And we really need to understand. I've been talking with a number of men who've said, I don't have to do this anymore, and I didn't like it anyway, but I don't have to do it. And that's the worst result, when men no longer believe they have to do it and until there's a real problem. Well, when you know that there's a problem, oftentimes with prostate cancer, it's too late. I'd like to say something that is very important. Early-stage prostate cancer that's localized, that is still within the gland, has no symptoms. So it just doesn't make sense to allow this recommendation to stand.
Because
we need to have people calling and writing the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force. I will even offer up my home number, 827-0488, if you don't know how to get in contact with the task force, or my email address, charliewhill@aol.com, and I will provide you access to the task force so that you can state directly your concerns about this.
Charlie, tell us, because for our audience who may not be familiar with you, you are a prostate cancer survivor.
I am not only a prostate cancer survivor, I'm a prostate cancer warrior, and the difference is it's not enough just to be a survivor. For those of us who've been blessed to have survived prostate cancer, I think we should become warriors and help other men and the people in their families understand that without early detection, most men are likely to have a problem if they are in the high-risk group. And the high-risk group is very simple. It's African-American men with family history, and men who get older. So if you're like me, I'm an African-American man, I have some family history, and I've gotten older. I got 3 strikes against me.
I'm sorry, Charlie. I don't mean to laugh. That's not, but it's just the way that you said that.
Yeah.
Because we know you. But you are a warrior for this. Why do you think that this task force came up with this recommendation? What's behind this?
I think that there is a legitimate issue to be dealt with, and that issue is overtreatment. And overtreatment comes because we don't have enough men and their loved ones who really understand that with prostate cancer, it comes in 2 forms. There's an aggressive prostate cancer that is lethal, and then there's what I would call a domestic or considerably less aggressive cancer that you can live with for a long time. The science yet has not caught up with how to distinguish between the two.
So
Given the response that you have cancer, most men leap to action that in some cases is not necessary.
So when you do the PSA test, it can't tell you whether you have an aggressive cancer or a domestic, as you called it, cancer.
Right. All the PSA provides is an indication that there may be a problem. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer with a PSA of 2.1, which is well within the range that is considered safe. And I had a normal digital rectal exam, so no one would have ever thought I had prostate cancer, except when we looked at my PSA rates. The change in my PSA rates provided an indication that, we should just do a biopsy to see what's going on, and that's how my cancer was diagnosed. Well, if you take away the PSA exam or test, if you take it away, then you have nothing to work with.
So while this is being debated, because right now it's just a recommendation.
It's a
correct?
recommendation, and there's been a 30-day window to act on it, October 7th through the next Tuesday, November the 8th.
Okay, and so that's why you need people to call, to write in, to express how they feel about it. What are some of the doctors saying about this, Charlie?
The urologists around the world, frankly, are all united saying this recommendation doesn't make sense. Now, urologists are much closer to this disease, and they see the patients when oftentimes they're diagnosed. The other doctors tend not to be as close to it, and I've not heard many of them speak out, and that's part of the tragedy because most men don't go to a urologist unless there's a problem. And if you rely just on your family doctor or your primary care physician, you may not be getting the kind of focus that you need. And again, for high-risk cases, African-American men, men who have family history, and men who've gotten older, they all ought to have a urologist involved in their lives once they turn at least age 40.
What can we do as women to help in this endeavor, Charlie?
I'm glad you asked that question. I don't believe men will be successful in our worldwide fight against prostate cancer without women. What women need to do is understand that if the man in your life, or men in your life, if you consider relatives, if they have prostate cancer, you have prostate cancer too. Unlike any of the other cancers where there is bad enough situation in and of itself. Prostate cancer brings a baggage that most folk don't understand until they experience it. And women particularly are very, very helpful if they understand. We invite women to come to all of our sessions so that they can understand that while they don't have prostate glands, they can be prostate cancer survivors and go through a lot of challenge if the men in their lives have prostate cancer. Mm-hmm. So we want women to be informed.
What's the economic ramification behind this?
Well, if you have prostate cancer and it gets ahead of you, there's a question about insurance, whether or not you have insurance that help you pay the cost. You can't work, so you're out of your job. I'm aware of cases where people have lost their jobs, they've lost their homes, they've lost their wives, they've lost their families. So the economic and family situations are horrible. They're horrible. There's nothing good about this recommendation for men in high-risk groups. Nothing.
So how do you convince men, while this controversy goes back and forth, to continue to get the test? Or should they continue, or should they wait until a decision is made? What do you do?
They should continue to get the test, and it's interesting to know that just recently President Obama, who had his physical examination, his public information, had his PSA test. So there was, at that level, it's clear that folk are not being waylaid or being distracted by this recommendation. What we need men to do, if they don't know, contact someone who does know, contact the urologist. They can contact me. I mean, I'm an open book on this. Call me, 827-0488, or email me, CHARLIEWHill@AOL.com. But the last thing that we want men to do is sit back and do nothing and wait and see. And if they do that and they don't do the PSA test, and don't do the digital exams, then we're likely to repeat the Tuskegee experiment.
Charlie, what is it what's the biggest fear for men? Is it finding out, or is it the test itself?
I think many men have gotten past the test. I mean, I think we talk too much about the test being a distraction. For some men, it is, but I think the biggest fear is discovering something about cancer and not knowing what to do about it. And I think part of the reason that we should have a public conversation is that we can address the fear. We can address the lack of information or misinformation is out there. I met with a group of men last weekend, and I asked them had they had their prostate exams, the PSA test, and the digital rectal exam. And one man said to me, "I'm in good shape. I'm taking Viagra." And everyone laughed in the room. Everyone laughed, and I said, "Well, why are you laughing?" And I said, this is a case where the man really doesn't know. He's been listening to the ads and the radio ads and the other products that are sold for impotence, and he thought by taking Viagra, he was addressing having a healthy prostate gland. So that's the biggest issue, just ignorance of what happens and whether that you have a prostate gland if you're a male and it has not been removed, and what it does, where it is in the body, and how you remain healthy. And the most important thing for people who live in this market, Hampton Roads, is that even if you are diagnosed with prostate cancer, and if it's diagnosed early, there are treatments. All of the treatments that can be done anywhere else in the world can be done in Hampton Roads.
Can be done right here.
Can be done right here in Hampton Roads.
Okay, so we just need to stay educated, get educated if you're not educated on this subject, and also to contact the proper authorities to let people know about how you feel about the recommendation. Charlie, I'm going to give that phone number one more time, a little bit more slowly so people can get it. For more information, please call 827-0488. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Or you can email Charlie Hill at charliewhill@AOL.com.
That's right. And that's Charlie spelled with L-I-E instead of L-E-Y.
Okay. CHARLIE W Hill @AOL.com. Yeah. Charlie Hill, president and founder of the Hampton Roads Prostate Health Forum. Thank you so much for this critical information and for sharing it with us.
And Barbara, thank you. And before I go, I want to say thank you to you and Lisa and the ladies who provide the Park Place School experience.
Oh, thank you so much.
For the work you do.
Take care. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
And we'll be right back. And welcome back. You know, this has been a show chock full of information today, and I hope that you will pay attention to the things that Charlie Hill had to say. It's really critically important that this test continue. Well, tomorrow night, Lisa Godley, who is our show producer, and I will get all dressed up, and we get to attend the biennial Claver Service Awards and Scholarship Endowment Gala. We're receiving an Excellence in Claver Service Award for Another View. So we are really, really excited about that, and we are so honored for this award to be coming to us. The event is presented by the Barrett Newell Council, number 279 of the Knights of Peter Claver. Now, this organization was founded in 1909 as a, quote, new society for colored men who would be Catholic and at the same time include the fraternal and beneficial qualities of the secret organizations. That was really interesting. Actually, I emceed this event a couple of years ago, and it's a really great event. This event will be held at the Norfolk Waterside Marriott, and we again say thank you to the Knights of Peter Claver for our award. And next Saturday, November 12th, the 23rd annual Friends of Hampton Roads Scholarship Ball will be held at the Renaissance Portsmouth Hotel and Waterfront Conference Center. This event raises scholarships for deserving students in Hampton Roads. To date, this nonprofit organization has provided close to $475,000 in scholarships to high school seniors. So they got it going on. I'm honored to serve as MC for this event. For more information, call 816-0706. There are more events on our website. Visit anotherviewradio.org and check them out. And next week, it's the Another View Roundtable, the November edition. So you know that's going to be lively. For producer Lisa Godley, audio engineer Perry Smith, and the rest of the Another View team, I'm Barbara Ham Lee. We'll see you next Friday for Another View.